thoughtful ideas and suggestions for guests and topics.
Great events, programs, and documentaries.
All the countries and listen.
Welcome to this week's segment of Dialogue Houston. I'm your host, Lawrence Payne. To our regular viewing audience, welcome. To those joining us perhaps for the first time for ACC's TV Dialogue Houston, we're here now every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., and again on Saturday afternoons at 3 p.m. Always on top of the show, let me thank you for your thoughtful calls, emails, and text messages concerning shows we've aired here on ACC's TV, but particularly your great ideas and suggestions for guests and topics to be covered on upcoming segments of Dialogue Houston. For after all, this is your community affairs, public affairs show here on ACC TV now in its 25th year. Today we're going to feature something that we've had on Dialogue Houston many times over the years since its inception in 2007. It's a wonderful event that happens every spring here in Houston that has now grown and been caught up and caught on across the country in 80 different cities, but it started right here in Houston. And that's, of course, while he's sitting on my desk in front of me, Lemonade Day. Lemonade Day is this phenomenal program that teaches young people entrepreneur skills. And I'm just happy and proud to have with me as my guest today none other than Stephen Garden, who's the national president of Lemonade Day. Welcome, Stephen.
Larry, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today and such an honor. This is your 25th anniversary. What a great way to start.
It's been a great run and a great partnership with ACC TV, so thank you. So I have the privilege of having Michael Halshauser on the show in 2007 for the 2008 kickoff of in the spring. This thing has just taken off.
It's unbelievable. You know, Michael had an incredible vision.
Yes, he did.
It's why he is an amazing entrepreneur and an amazing philanthropist.
Right.
He had this idea that came about because of his daughter, Alyssa, and took an idea, put the pieces together and created this movement that's now, as you said, in 80 markets across the U.S., Canada, Bermuda, South Africa, Puerto Rico.
Right.
So, you know, we continue to look for growth, but it really started right here in Houston with an amazing person.
And it's such a great conceptual program, but it's also very simple to be involved and become part of it.
It is. You know, this is a way that you can engage not only with your children, but with children that you may know. So what we do is we involve the community. This is a community-driven event that takes all levels of participation. You can be a mentor, you can be a volunteer, you can be a sponsor. There's lots of ways to engage with it, which makes it very special.
Right. I have, over the years, been involved with a couple of teams and the kids in their booth. The booths are getting more elaborate as we go forward. It reminded me of the old soapbox derby races, the cars that we built just for the derby. Well, these booths have become some spectacular things in their own right.
Well, they are. I mean, they're an expression of the creativity that kids have.
There we go. Right.
This is what we're looking for. We're looking for kids to find a way to think outside of the box.
Yep.
And so this is this creativity, this leadership, this expression of business that kids need to find. And this is the place that they get to do it. I mean, starting a business, running a business, and owning a business expressed through a lemonade stand is everything that you want children to experience.
Well, and it's still around, I think. Junior Achievement, JA.
Yes, sure.
When I was in high school, that was we were JAs. We produced our own company, our own product, our own marketing, on advertising. I mean, we had the whole thing going. And those are skill sets that stuck with you as you grew up. You learn, and we made a profit. And we learned how to figure out how to make a profit. And once we started making a profit, it's on then.
Right, so when that happened, right, a light bulb went off, right?
It certainly did.
So this is what we're looking for, is for kids to be able to find a new mindset. The minute that they make money for themselves, they realize, you know what, I can be self-sufficient. And what we're doing is we're giving kids an opportunity to learn through curriculum how they can contribute to society and be productive and be healthy and be happy. And it's not just about making money, it's all the other things.
It's about giving back too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You said it. The strength of this program is the experiential piece, but it's also about giving back to community. So we build in these three pillars: share some, save some, and spend some.
There we go.
And it makes it the overall experience that much more powerful.
It also is filling a void that exists now in the field of character education. The character education piece that y'all have woven through the 40 developmental assets out of the Search Institute from Minneapolis. I was in Minneapolis for years working, so I got to really know the Search Institute. And they're pillars of the 40 assets. I think you do 20 of them.
We actually do all of them.
You do all of them now?
We're the only
Okay.
program that does all of them. So
Okay.
it's internal and external. This is about making healthy choices.
But that piece is missing.
Yes.
Ever since the school districts took out character education in the curriculum, and Michael tried to work with HISD at one time to get them to put it back in. He was willing to be involved with the 40 development assets. And it's a void and a piece that's missing. And to be able to have it worked in and woven into the fabric and fiber of this program is amazing because you don't get it anywhere else.
No, you don't. And we are lucky enough to now be able to go back into HISD and the charter schools
Yep.
all over the country. And this
But
is
you're
where
doing it through this vehicle.
we are.
It's
And
not,
so, exactly.
yeah.
So there is a way to do it.
Right.
And I will say, you know, if you think about it, we're one organization that's making a huge difference and solving for a lot of very complex problems. So we're very proud of the fact that this has become institutionalized in a way because
Right.
it's become adopted by many schools.
Yep.
And we will continue to want to look for more schools.
And that's important because the more schools, the more community and people get involved, neighborhoods and et cetera. It is a program that really, particularly, let's talk about for just a moment the urban inner city schools. They really could use this and need this in some ways in a greater way than put up maybe other parts of our community. And the question is always, how do we get them deeply involved? They're involved now, I know,
Yes.
but how do we get them to get deeper involved, to touch more students, get more adults involved? I think that's the ongoing challenge, is it not?
Absolutely. It's the bottleneck.
Yeah.
The bottleneck is mentorship. And you can define mentorship in a lot of ways, but it's that caring adult
Right.
that's going to be willing to take it into the school or after school program, into the Y, whatever those organizations
Into
are.
the churches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we seek out people who really care.
Right.
And if you think about the HCC community, there are wonderful people in
right.
this community at all different levels, from the students to the professors to the staff that can take this on. It just takes one person who can change the lives of many.
Yep.
So we really encourage this kind of participation. So the way we get around this bottleneck really is to make ourselves more available to all sorts of programs. We don't limit ourselves.
Right.
The key is it's free.
It's
It's free to the kids to participate.
Right.
So we try to reduce all the potential roadblocks or hurdles, and that's why we invite to get involved. So what we do within the program now is create a curriculum guide. We do apps that support mentors to help them with their journey along with the kids. So the technology available today in our world is taking us from a workbook type
Right.
environment
Right.
to a digital environment.
Yep.
Now it exists on a phone, on a tablet, and on a computer. So we are meeting the kids where they are
Right.
and helping the mentors work with the kids.
And I think the key, as you said, the more mentors you have, the more you can involve the more
Absolutely.
kids. And so anybody who wants to be a mentor, volunteer, or sponsored, and it's open to you to figure out what role you want to play and get involved.
Please do. Go to lemonadeaid.org
Yeah.
and get involved. There are plenty of ways that you can plug yourself
And
in.
I think this is something, and I know you've worked on this over the years, that any house of worship, church, parish, temple, synagogue, or mosque, Friday, Saturday, Sunday worship, there are people sitting in somebody's pew every weekend that could really be involved in this program because you've made it very simple for them to
Absolutely.
be involved.
It is. And when you go back to the share some, spend some, save some, it fits into those lessons
Yep.
that no matter the religion, it's all about
Exactly.
the community.
Right.
So yes, we do. And we do encourage it. And we get some of the best results in some of the neighborhoods that are the most underserved, where we see kids sitting up after services will let
Oh,
out.
yeah.
And they're
I've
the
seen-
kids in their tents, and they come out and the kids are ready to serve them. And it's interesting because it's a different kind of a relationship going on with their members.
Right, and if you can do it, when I see your stand and your involvement, then I can do it. I
Absolutely.
can replicate this too, maybe not on your corner or your block, but a couple blocks down the street. And I think it gives the incentive that the kids who I've known who've been involved in it, they're very enthusiastic about it. They're great spokespersons for the program because they said it's something that I get joy out of doing. They use that word joy.
Yes.
Not many things kids do in that arena that they talk about it as a joyful experience.
It's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it should be fun.
Yeah.
Where do kids get an opportunity to interface where they're actually doing a transaction, when they're showing off how hard they worked to create a recipe, how they created their business plan?
Yep.
how they understand net versus gross. They understand that it takes expenses to run a business,
Right.
and that at the end you have to pay back your lender.
Right.
But you have fun doing it because it's this expression of communicating with adults and with your peers, and the bubbling up of leadership that comes through.
Right.
I mean, Michael found the most amazing vehicle through a lemonade stand to teach all the concepts
Yeah.
of a business and have fun at the same
Yeah.
time.
I had a kid tell me, a little boy one year, he said, "And the first lesson I learned when you're starting a business, you cannot be undercapitalized." And I said, okay, he's learned the first lesson right out of the box, right?
Exactly. We're not teaching kids how to evaluate their business,
Right,
but
right.
I've heard these backseat conversations when I worked with kids
Right.
while we're moving around a parking lot. One kid telling the other kid about how much net they're expecting and how
Right.
much they're going to divvy this up between them. It's amazing,
Yeah.
because you can work with adults and say, well, you understand a P&L,
Right.
you can do a P&L,
Right.
but how many of you have written a business plan? Well, not all the hands come up.
There you go.
But to get a kid to go all the way through a business plan is pretty phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lesson that will stay with them
Yes, it will.
lifelong.
Yes, it will.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Right, right.
And Larry, I think today, instead of telling our kids, no, you can't have it, we should tell our kids, you know what, I'll show you how you can earn it.
There you go.
And you can own it.
Yep.
And when they have ownership, it will last longer
Yep.
and it's going to stay with them longer. So we shouldn't just tell our kids you can't have it.
No, and having your own spending money early on and
Yes.
learning how that you earned it and worked for it and what it means, the value of that dollar that you actually earned, makes a big difference.
Financial literacy
Yep.
is a big deal. I mean, that's what's missing
Well,
today.
that's another thing we're going to pick up right after
Right.
the break. We'll take a small pause and break here. We're going to come back. We're going to pick up that point of financial literacy because it is an important point, and I'll use my own example growing up when we come back. And we're going to dive a little deeper into Lemonade Day and the events coming up so that you can be involved, so you can know about them and come join us, and we look forward to you doing that. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
HCC. So many reasons, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
HCC's online college is officially open. This not only means online classes, but also online degrees and certificates. You can now credential up anytime, anywhere. Join the fast-growing number of students getting their full college education from anywhere they use a laptop. HCC currently offers 32 fully online degrees and will offer 71 next year. You no longer have to find a way or time to get to college. HCC brings college to you.
We're talking about, if you've been with us for the first part of the show, Lemonade Day, this phenomenal program started in 2007 right here in Houston that has grown to 80 markets across the country and across the globe. And we're going to be talking about some local events coming up here in the fall that kind of positions for our wonderful May event, which is when the actual lemonade stands populate all over Houston, and you see them all over the place. I want to use these lemons that are on the set here for a moment to give a little illustration The lemon has been used in an interesting way from early childhood school in the grades, particularly 3 to 5, 3 to 6. There's a little exercise they do with this lemon. They have a big bowl of lemons. So they have all the students in the class come and pick out a lemon. That's their lemon. They ask you to identify your lemon, to study your lemon, to look at it closely, look at any identifying marks, any bruises or whatever, and then you get to put it back in the bowl. The next day when the students come in, the lemons are still in the bowl, but the difference is they're all peeled. And you ask the student to go to the bowl and pick out their lemon that they meticulously covered over yesterday. Well, they're all peeled. So the lesson that is imparted is that different but the same. We're all the same on the inside. We may be different on the outside. And that little exercise with the lemon has really been a wonderful way to start the discussion about diversity. So when I realized, when Michael started the Lemonade Day, I said the lemonade is a good metaphor for lots of things. And obviously the first one is when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. But the 3 cornerstones of the program that you talked about.
Share some, spend some, save some.
That's it. That can be worked into a whole curriculum within itself.
Absolutely.
It talks about, what does it talk about? It's about sharing and giving, developing relationships of mutual trust and respect. It talks about social justice. It talks about all those things, all wrapped into the program with the piece that we talked about earlier about character education, which is so important, and it's woven throughout the program. If you don't know the 40 developmental assets out of the Search Institute out of Minneapolis, just go to your computer, just type in 40 developmental assets. They'll populate, they'll come up right quick. There are 4 sets, starting with kindergarten through high school. There are 4 sets from kindergarten to 3rd grade, 3rd to 5th, 5th to 9th, and 9th to 12th. They build upon each other. They're foundational. One builds upon the other versus grade level. That's the piece that we're finding within schooling today. And I might as well just put it out there. That's the piece that's missing in the second era of the resegregation of public schools. That was the piece when I went through public schools in the first era of segregation, the deep values and character education that were instilled in the public school that's totally void today. The only place these kids pick this up now is through this program. They're working again within HISD and the charter schools because that's the connection. We do it through after-school programs and others. But that is an important piece that's missing. And to be able to tie in learning entrepreneurial skills, learning the value of $1 and how to make $1 and to save $1 and to share $1, along with the character education piece that's in there, that's invaluable. There's no substitutes for that. And to be able to involve the houses of worship, as I keep saying all the time, church, parish, temple, synagogue, and mosque, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to get the mentors and the people you need to bring that extra dimension to it is also a plus. And I know y'all have worked very hard in making sure that happen, and this can only grow. You're only limited by the number of adults you can get involved to help with the kids.
Absolutely. You know, we left off talking about how important it is to have financial literacy part of this. Well, you know, where are we going to learn this? And for a lot of parents, they don't know enough about financial literacy themselves.
You can't teach what you don't know.
Exactly. So what we've done is woven into the program, as we said, in a fun way.
Right.
And so as parents or mentors, or whoever it is, start working with the kids through the curriculum, the light bulbs go off for them as well, because they see responsible ways to spend and save their money.
Right.
When you teach a child that money can be saved in a bank and can earn interest and can fundamentally be a tool to grow their future business, it's powerful.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we want to make a change, we really need to take a big step forward and look at what we need to do now. The window of opportunity is really closing. You know, we did a study with Gallup. This study was our look at our students and our participants, I call them students, but our participants, against the Gallup's poll. Now, this is a poll of 1 million kids. And we looked to see how our kids performed against the Gallup poll. What we found was 31% of the kids that did Lemonade Day would start a business by the time they finished high school.
Wow.
Do you know the national average is only 4%? So how are we going to start new businesses? How are we going to get kids to live their dreams and be successful and be independent if we don't give them an opportunity to try?
Right.
What we're doing is lighting the spark of entrepreneurship and have fun at the very basic level, but we teach very rounded business and literacy skills
Yep.
in a way that anybody can adopt. But it's as I said earlier, it's a life skill that's going to stay with you forever. And so let's not make excuses anymore. Let's go do it.
Right.
And here's the program that will do it. In fact, Jim Clifton, who is the CEO of Gallup, said there is no other program that does what Lemonade Day does. You don't need to test it. It works.
Right,
Just
right.
do it. Right.
And the point about financial literacy, again, when I was in school, which they don't do anymore, we opened our checking and savings account when I was in the 3rd grade because the banks came.
Yes.
They talked to you about financial literacy. They talked about saving and investing, et cetera. Got my first little job when I was in 7th grade. My little money went into I had my little passbook, my little, that you go every other week, you deposit your money, you got your little book with you and you go. I financed my first motorcycle to deliver my newspapers on my own name.
Yes.
Because I had my own checking and savings account and I had a pretty good little balance. All right. Didn't need my father to co-sign. Now they knew my father was going to back it, of course, because that's the relationship.
Right.
But you also establish a relationship with a banker at an early age, and you learn the value of that relationship with a banker, because that's when you need to borrow money. You have the relationship.
Absolutely.
And so all that played into it, you know. And now with Lemonade Day, I'm making a profit. I got to have money. I got to have a checking account. I got to have a savings account. I got to pay people. I got bills to pay. That is invaluable because we used to do that in schools.
We may not be doing it. But what if everybody had the opportunity that you did? What if we had learned this, all of us, at an early age? What if we understood compounding interest?
Yep.
How different would our lives be? I will say that most people will come up to me with a big smile on their face and want to tell me about their Lemonade Day experience.
Right.
Also, their lemonade stand experience prior to their kids having the experience. And it's, it's sort of a magical event. As Michael told me.
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah. You know, if you think of all your childhood memories, really the stand really is the thing that everybody thinks about.
Right.
And Michael always told me the magic happens at the stand.
Yeah, it does.
It's that transactional
Transaction.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
And so if we could give everybody opportunity that you had, Larry, I know that this would be a better world.
Yeah.
I know that we are on the cusp of creating a movement with Lemonade Day. We're so close. We're now, like, as you said, 80 markets. But we see a really big opportunity. We've done 1.1 million kids have participated in the program. How about that?
Wow.
Started with 2,400 stands here in Houston in 2007.
Yeah.
Our goal eventually is to have 1 million kids every year doing it. That would make a big difference.
It would.
And so we invite everybody to join in that movement. Let's have some fun together.
And there's also been a new learning that has come out of Lemonade Day, which I think is interesting about how life has we passed a bill here in Texas.
We sure did.
And we needed to pass a bill because what happened, the reason we have House Bill 234 is because we tried to apply fees and permits to the lemonade stands that we all grew up with, that we just put up in front of our own house or on the block, on the corner, in front of the convenience store, whatever, without ever having any problem from, quote unquote, the authorities or the law enforcement. But these two kids outside of Fort Worth, or around Fort Worth in Tarrant County, ran into two sisters, 7 and 8 year old, ran into opposition because they wanted to shut them down because they didn't have the permit and the proper fees.
Right.
And we created a movement that created a bill that they learn this extra lesson now about legislation and passing of a bill and how you can take this whole movement and do this thing that allows you now to have the freedom to operate your stand. What another invaluable lesson that has come out of this.
It was an amazing, amazing experience for our kids. We used our Lemonade Day Kid alumni, and we're talking about 7-year-olds, to stand up and testify in front of 2 committees beautifully, better than any kind of expert testimony. But I will tell you, it's the tip of the iceberg for what businesses have to face.
Right.
I think the analogy of the lemonade stand and the kids was a bureaucratic move that happened very early in the 70s that created this situation. But the fact is, Texas, pro-business, was able to overcome this. Bill came up first time and passed through committee and was voted through. It's an expression of how we feel that kids should have an opportunity now. And I think it's a light to the world about what should happen.
And you can't overregulate these kind of things.
No, you shouldn't.
It's an organic thing that bubbles up and people get involved, and it's a movement.
Absolutely.
It's really a movement.
It is. And we shouldn't stifle the opportunity that kids have, because I'll tell you, they will amaze you.
Yeah.
We have alumni kids who have started their own businesses that are in hundreds of Whole Foods stores and H-E-B stores and all over the world in products that have come out all over the world. These kids have learned an invaluable lesson that's moving forward with the economy.
Before we run out of time, let's talk about the fall events that are coming up and
well,
how
we're
people
very
can be
excited.
involved.
So
quickly.
September, we kick off Lemonade Day all over the world.
Right.
But here in Houston, we've already started. So we're now recruiting schools, after-school programs, and mentors and teachers. But May 2nd and 3rd is the day we paint the town yellow.
Yes, we do.
So prior to that, we'll have best tasting contest, we'll have pitch contest, we'll have best stand contest, we'll do a build a stand event. So just go to the site, lemonadeday.org/Houston, and look it up, and there's a whole calendar of events. And we invite everybody in the community to come join us.
And you should. It's a fun thing. Think about being a mentor, a volunteer, a sponsor. It is a program that is just so in its simplicity for you to be involved with. It's an easy. They make it very simple and very easy for you. This is not brain surgery. This is not. All it takes is your will and your wanting to participate in the life of a young person and to make a difference. I want to thank you very much for being our guest. This is great. We're going to continue to work on this together. You will not see the last of us in Lemonade Stand nor Lemonade Day. And you know, there are many ways I could probably wrap this up. Let me just do it this way. Entrepreneurship is an important piece of this going forward, but the character education piece to me is just as important as the Lemonade Day and the experience of entrepreneurship. I know in the urban setting what's missing today than when I was that same child growing up. 2019 might as well be 1968 all over again in many ways, unfortunately. And I know the components and the adults in my life, the mentors, who made a difference, who were around to round out my experience, to take the rough edges off, to not only protect and nurture, but undergird us in a loving way with unconditional love that allowed us not just to survive, but to thrive. And it's all about thriving. In our society today, where children of color, where underrepresented, underserved, all those titles we use now in the resegregated school system that we live in, we need to bring back some of those values. Those values are inculcated into this program. Please avail yourselves of it. Please become part of it. We look forward to you participating in Lemonade Day going forward. Go to their website, pull it up, become a person who can give back and share what you've been given in this program. We look forward to you joining us in future segments of Dialogue Houston. Until then, as always, peace, power, and love.